The New England Patriots are headed to the Super Bowl. Is it safe to say that we are back? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Boston Balling. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, also currently host of the Locked On Red Sox Daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network as well. So make sure you check that out too if you want Red Sox talk also. But we are here right now to talk Patriots because what a game we saw yesterday. I mean, talk about a nail biter, low scoring, but certainly high intensity. And the blizzard in the fourth quarter was pretty crazy. And I also found it interesting where on the broadcast late in the game, they showed the difference between the beginning of the game and the fourth quarter, wherever we were at in the game at that point. I just thought it was interesting seeing the transition of the weather and the gradual change and more snow collectively falling, and eventually to the point where you couldn't even see the Patriots players in their white uniforms. So it was just kind of crazy thinking about how the game started and how it ended from a weather perspective. And that was certainly a factor in this game. Having to throw into heavy amounts of snow like that is not ideal conditions for any team to play in. And as soon as the snow started to really fall, I thought, wow, the Patriots definitely have an advantage here because, yes, it snows in Colorado, obviously, sometimes to that extent, but they don't get New England snow. They really don't. And the Patriots are so equipped and used to playing in temperatures like that and in conditions like that. And so I said, wow, this could really benefit the Patriots, but the wind didn't help. And Andy Borregales missed a couple kicks due to it. But I mean, the Broncos also were missing kicks as well. So obviously the weather was a big factor in that, the wind not really working in their favor. But overall, this was a game in which the Patriots came out on top. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying my heart breaks for Bo Nix. It's really unfortunate that he got injured the way he did, trying to kneel down to set up a game-winning field goal for his team in the previous week against the Bills. Obviously not ideal, and nobody wants to see injuries like that. So this game a little bit had a different feel to it because of the fact that the Broncos didn't get to play with their starting quarterback and rather their backup quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, who ironically was drafted by the Patriots and started his career there. So everything kind of became full circle in that regard. So the Patriots were facing a guy who had not been their starting quarterback all season. So when it came to how were the Patriots going to come in and perform, you had to feel pretty good about the Patriots' chances. However, Colorado, Denver, think about the location, the geography, more elevation there. The Patriots didn't travel into Denver until Saturday. So the question was, are they going to be able to adapt to the higher elevation that came with playing in a place like Denver? And also not only that, but that was the Patriots' first playoff game on the road this season. And I mentioned this on last week's Patriots show as well, that I was looking for how are Drake Maye and company going to adapt to playing a playoff game on the road, because their previous couple playoff games were at home where the crowd is not on their side and they're dealing with a majority of Denver fans. How are they going to adapt to that? Are they going to be able to relax? And it certainly took a while for them to get settled. And the Patriots offense as a whole really did not look great again. But once again, for the third week in a row, shout out to the defense. This truly, over the entire course of this playoff run, has been the biggest storyline for this Patriots team, is how well their defense has been able to contain the opposing team's quarterback and be able to keep them off the scoreboard. And other than one touchdown, the Broncos were not able to get their offense going. Now, there were several factors in this game that kind of helped the Patriots out as well. With this 10-7 victory, there are certain things that we could look back on and say, yeah, I feel really good about this. You know, we're going to the Super Bowl. This is awesome. But there are other things that definitely need work. Defense certainly does win championships, and that stayed true in this game. Even with the snow piling up, the Patriots defense continued its dominant playoff run. For a team that built a 14-3 regular season record on the back of an MVP caliber season from quarterback Drake Maye, the Patriots are now going to their 12th Super Bowl in franchise history, truly due to the defense. In these 3 playoff games, New England's defense allowed a total of 26 points, shutting down the Chargers, Texans, and Broncos offenses to get through the AFC. Although the job is not done, it truly has been a job well done on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I also want to add to this that while the offense hasn't looked great, they also have had to face 3 top 5 defenses in the league over the course of these 3 weeks, with the Broncos, Texans, and Chargers all having really strong defenses. So we knew that this likely wouldn't be a high-scoring game for the Patriots, but they do need to work out some of these offensive kinks going into the Super Bowl, because they are facing a Seahawks team that has looked very complete all season long. Sam Darnold, talk about where his career path has taken him, and that he's now taken this Seahawks team to the Super Bowl. This is a team that looks very complete on both facets, offense and defense. Special teams, they just look locked in right now, and that's something the Patriots are going to have to keep in mind, and they are going to have to play their best football if they want to win this game. As far as how this game in Denver unfolded, there were a few critical swings when the Broncos came out firing. For example, with a 7-0 lead, the Broncos elected to go for a 4th and 1 on the Patriots' 14-yard line rather than just kicking a field goal. And I personally was a little stumped by that. Why not take the points at that point rather than trying to go for it there? That just really felt like a situation in which they should have just kicked the field goal and taken the points. The Pats defense ultimately ended up coming up with a stop there and created a turnover that set up the Patriots' lone touchdown. So to begin with, before the play even happened, I was like, wow, I feel like they should be kicking a field goal here. I wasn't complaining, but I was like, with how good this Patriots defense has been, you would think the Broncos would have preferred to take the points there, but they didn't. Patriots defense created a turnover. Ultimately, the Patriots' lone touchdown happened, created by Drake Maye himself, who scored that touchdown. Denver also had an opportunity to kick a game-tying field goal, but the 46-yard attempt ended up being blocked, which, huge shout out to this player. Way to make your mark in the league. Practice squad defensive tackle Leonard Taylor, who literally 2 days prior had gotten called up from the practice squad, and in a very crucial moment in this game, tipped the field goal attempt, causing it to be missed. So that was a huge moment in this game, as well as Christian Gonzalez with a massive interception late to help seal the deal for the Patriots. So there were multiple factors in this game defensively that truly helped the Patriots to come out on top in this game. On the flip side of that, offensively, there is a lot to kind of nitpick, for lack of a better word, when it comes to this game. The Patriots had 4 possessions while leading by 3 points where they could have taken a 2-score lead, but ended up going in a pattern of missing a field goal and then 3 straight punts after that. So they had opportunities to go up, and they couldn't capitalize on their opportunities offensively either. One of the biggest things was that they couldn't get that run game going, and the play calling early on in this game was suspect because Josh McDaniels almost was trying to force the run game. And when it wasn't working, it took him a little bit to adapt. But once he did adapt, I really liked what I saw, letting Drake Maye throw the ball, because Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, the running back duo, who have been very strong all season long, weren't really able to get things going. So they turned to the throwing game and trusted Drake Maye's arm, and it ended up panning out a little bit better. To win the Super Bowl, they're definitely going to need a lot more from the offense than what they've been getting this postseason. And I feel like I sound like a broken record because I've been saying this for the last few weeks, but it's true. Like, this is the biggest key, and there's an imbalance of how the defense is performing and how the offense is performing. The defense certainly has given the Patriots what they needed. They just aren't really getting that on the other side of the ball. So that's something they definitely need to work on extensively over these next 2 weeks. But the Road Warriors are back at it again and finally got the playoff monkey off their back in Denver to finish an impressive 9-0 on the road. They're the first team in NFL history to go from 13-plus losses the year prior to the Super Bowl, which is pretty incredible if you think about the turnaround with a team that had 14 losses last season to now doing this and going undefeated on the road. That's tough to do. So are we back? Yes, I would like to say. Drake Maye, after the game, was talking about the game, and he said the history and everything about it, it's a new team. It's a new era. I respect and appreciate what the Patriots dynasty did, and unfortunately, they didn't come out with some wins in Denver. We changed the narrative, and we look forward to bringing our best football to Santa Clara. That's notable as well, because we talk about the Patriots going undefeated on the road this year, being back, the turnaround from the season prior, but they, in the past, during the Brady and Belichick era, struggled in playoff games in Denver. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't win those games. So the narrative was going into this game, well, are the Patriots going to be able to overcome that? And are they going to be able to come out with a win this time? Because in the past, historically, Denver is a place that has caused them a lot of problems. So that was a question that I had as well, but they were able to overcome that. And honestly, shout out to the Patriots for being able to come together and overcome those doubts. And there were doubts essentially going into this game because of the Broncos being the number 1 overall seed. Obviously, there was that story of Bo Nix going down, but there were a lot of people still who had penciled in the Broncos to win this game because they thought that their strong defense would carry them. And if they didn't give up a lot of points against the Patriots, they thought they could still pull it out. So this was an impressive win, no matter how you slice it, for the Patriots. And you can look back on their season and people could say, well, they had an easy schedule for their season. Okay. And the regular season doesn't matter when you go to the playoffs. The Patriots were the 2 seed in the AFC, which they earned because you play who's in front of you. You play who's in your schedule. You don't choose your opponents. They played those opponents and they won, and they got the 2 seed in the AFC, and they got to the Super Bowl. So what does that say? That says that this team is resilient. They don't give up. And I've seen some quotes from players, and the players have said, keep doubting us. We hear the haters. It further drives us, and that's what helps motivate us to win even more. All we need is the team mentality and team slogan through this postseason, and that's what they all are choosing to live by. And I very much am happy with what I saw from this Patriots team, because no matter how you slice it, this is a team that shows resilience. These guys want to win. And when you go through the playoffs, you're playing teams that also should be there based on the fact that, hello, they won enough games to go to the playoffs as well. So it's hard to really take people seriously who criticize the Patriots for the run to the Super Bowl that they had, because these are all playoff teams that they had to play in this postseason to get there. So obviously this team is for real, and they're about to showcase it on the big stage, and I can't wait to see that. Coming up, I'm going to be discussing main takeaways overall in a little bit more detail from yesterday's Patriots game. But first, don't forget to subscribe to Locked On Red Sox and Boston Balling on any podcast platform. Locked On Red Sox, I am here Monday through Friday discussing all things with the Boston Red Sox. But if you want all of my Boston sports talk, where I talk about the other teams, make sure to tune into Boston Balling. I am here Monday through Thursday recording that show. I have some special guests lined up for Boston Balling, including a sports director for a TV channel in Providence who covered the Patriots extensively on this playoff run. He's going to be appearing on my show soon, as well as a special guest who used to play for the Boston Fleet of the Professional Women's Hockey League. So you won't want to miss any of that. So make sure you're subscribed on any podcast platform. Follow me on Twitter at Gabby Maljanian, on Instagram at Gabby_Maljanian10, and follow Locked On Red Sox on Twitter at LO_Red Sox, and Boston Balling at Boston Balling. So what did the Patriots do and not do well in their win against the Broncos? Obviously, this was a tight game. Obviously, it's hard to deny the fact that the Broncos, without Bo Nix, were put at a disadvantage. Sure. If Bo Nix was playing, maybe the result would have been different. We don't know. Again, my heart breaks for him. Really unfortunate. I hope he has a smooth recovery and that he's ready to go come the upcoming season. But while the Patriots had a really strong defensive performance, they have to be better offensively. And the play of the game, to me, could have gone to several different plays. that Christian Gonzalez interception is definitely something that I noted as a potential play of the game because that helped seal the deal. But what to me truly was the play of the game was that Leonard Taylor III block of the 46-yard field goal attempt in the fourth quarter. Not only was that in a huge moment, but also the player that it was, a guy who was on the practice squad and came up. It's really cool to see a guy like that contribute. The Patriots were holding just a 3-point lead in the fourth quarter, so he stepped up in a big moment. So that to me was an important moment in this game. The Patriots' stellar defense quickly forced a 3-and-out with Kiris Tonga registering a tackle for loss, an incomplete pass on second down, and a third down stop on a quarterback Jarrett Stidham scramble. The Patriots then forced that 46-yard attempt, which wasn't a guarantee in the snowy conditions, but it would have tied the game at 10 points each with 4 minutes and 46 seconds left in the game. And instead, Leonard Taylor III got his big right hand on the ball to force it wide. So that was a huge moment for the Patriots in this game. And after the game, he said, we just lined up and knocked the man in front of us over. Just take his face off for real. Just make plays. At the end of the day, I just go in there and do what I'm supposed to do. So talk about that when it comes to confidence. And his story is truly representative of the Patriots' whole season. He was released by the Jets in mid-October and signed to the Patriots practice squad almost immediately. He then carved out a role with New England as a practice squad elevation for all 3 playoff games so far. So it just shows that the Patriots have that next man up mentality, and whoever's going to step into a role is going to give 100%. And I just thought that was a really cool moment for him. In a major playoff win like this, there are obviously multiple plays that led to the win. Again, like I mentioned, that Gonzo pick, that was a huge Pro Bowl caliber play when the game was on the line in the fourth quarter. So it's just really exciting to think about the fact that multiple guys step up. With the Patriots holding a 10-7 lead late in the fourth, Gonzo made up for an early miscue when he intercepted a Stidham deep pass intended for wide receiver Marcus Mims. The Pats defense rotated into man-free coverage, with Gonzalez essentially playing off of the speedy wideout. Stidham then tried to throw a 30-yard pass through the Denver snow and wind, and Gonzalez read it perfectly with eyes in the backfield to pick off the pass, again in a crucial spot. The interception gave the Patriots the ball back with 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the game, and they just never gave it back. And Mike Vrabel actually talked about Gonzalez. He said 6 or 8 weeks ago, I can't remember when, but I saw a different Gonzo. Something went off and it changed. Maybe the Ravens game or something. I noticed just a different player and a different person. He's so talented. Like his predecessor as the Patriots lockdown corner, Gonzalez now has his Stefon Gilmore moment, which obviously Gilmore was a legend and a key piece of this Patriots team for so long. So for him to be able to have that type of moment, and he's now etched into Patriots history with that, hopefully his game continues to elevate, because this is a special player who could be huge for the Patriots for years to come. The Patriots D-line also dominated the matchup against the Broncos' highly ranked O-line in this victory. That was another key aspect of this game that I noticed that was stellar. Some people said that Denver had the best offensive line in football going into this game, with 2 first-team All-Pros at left tackle in Garrett Bowles and right guard Quinn Meinerz. So in the game yesterday, the Patriots defense continued to control the line of scrimmage, and that'll travel with them to Santa Clara for the Super Bowl. New England's defense ended up pressuring Jarrett Stidham on 35.1% of his dropbacks and held the Broncos offense to a negative 0.19 EPA per rush. To win with their backup quarterback, the Broncos needed balance, and Stidham was forced to drop back 37 times. So the defensive line was locked in, and Christian Barmore himself said it. He said, Coach Clint McMillan was telling us they were the number 1 rated offensive line. People that were saying they were going to run the ball and stuff, we came in ready. I feel like we have the best D-line in the league. We have a top defense. When the Patriots were able to pressure Stidham, he was just 1 for 10 for 4 yards with 2 turnovers. Along with Gonzo's interception at the end, the Patriots defense got Stidham to panic when they sent an overload blitz, which set up New England's lone touchdown drive. So again, the defense being the story of the game, there's no doubt about that. Although the passing game and the run game truly, genuinely as a whole struggled, Drake Maye's mobility should be notable and ended up coming in clutch in this game. This just wasn't the best performance for the Patriots offense, and for Drake Maye himself either, it wasn't his best performance. I mean, it was pretty easy to say that. Denver's defense definitely deserves credit too, with the conditions being poor and not ideal for anybody to be playing. And Maye was turnover free and ended up winning the turnover battle 2-0, which was huge in this game. However, the Patriots quarterback finished 10 of 21 for 86 passing yards and a negative 0.32 EPA per drop back. That is not good. And that's what people are talking about today in terms of the struggling aspect of Drake Maye's performance. And EPA essentially means expected points added. So it's a key metric measuring how much a play improves or worsens a team's scoring chances, considering context like down, distance, and field position. So unlike simple yardage, it's essentially calculated as the change in expected points before and after a play, helping to assess a player performance and strategy behind traditional stats. So essentially, if you're in the negatives, not ideal. And he was. Besides playing a good defense, the main reasons that the Patriots offense struggled were some uncharacteristic misses by Drake Maye in the poor conditions and a handful of coverage sacks where he didn't see any open receivers, ultimately getting sacked 5 times. Having said that, though, he makes plays as a runner, and that's a huge reason why the Patriots won this game. So, for example, even starting in the first half, the Patriots quarterback scored his first postseason rushing touchdown after taking over at the Broncos 12-yard line off of that turnover that I was talking about earlier, when the Broncos should have probably just kicked the field goal instead of trying to get fancy with going for it. Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels called a perfectly timed quarterback draw, with Maye faking like he was dropping back to pass as center Garrett Bradbury and running back Ramondre Stevenson released upfield. Ultimately, what happened was Bradbury blocked the linebacker and Stevenson took care of the safety at the second level, ultimately creating a pathway to lead Maye in for a walk-in touchdown to tie the game. So showing off the wheels, showing that he has the capability to run, that was huge for this Patriots team. And then the Patriots also iced the game with Maye calling his own number on a bootleg off of their stretch run. So the Pats had been spamming stretch or outside zone handoffs in the second half. So essentially what happened was Drake Maye waited for the right time to run the keeper to put the Patriots in victory formation. And at first, everybody thought that was just a bold play call by McDaniels, but it came out after the fact that Drake Maye made that decision himself on that play call. It was 3rd and 6 for the Patriots, and on their previous drive, they had been pretty conservative, not lots of big passes, just small handoffs and runs to try to play conservative because of the weather, and then they punted the ball back to Denver. So in this case, with 3rd and 6, I thought they might play it safe again and then just make a small play, a small run play for a couple of yards, try to hope that they maybe get a first down. And then if they don't, punt the ball back to the Broncos and put the trust and faith solely in the defense to stop them on the other end. But instead, Drake Maye wanted to call game. So on that play, 3rd and 6, a minute and 57 seconds to go in the game with the ball on their own 40-yard line, the Patriots ended up going heavy with only one wide receiver on the field in their 6 offensive line package, showing run to the defense. And then the Patriots ultimately mimicked the stretch play to get the Broncos defense flowing to the right, and Maye kept it back to his left. He then ended up outrunning Broncos linebacker Jonah Ellis to the edge and moved the chains to kneel out the clock. So that was a big play from him, because not only did it seal the game at that time, but it showed that he's brave and he has the ability to make that type of decision in game and say, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I have a chance to ice this game, so why would I not try to do that now? So that's ultimately what he did, and that ended the game. The Patriots will definitely need more from their passing offense to win the Super Bowl, but Maye continued to make a few more plays in the opposing quarterback and defensive battles, and that has been a big storyline overall for this Patriots team this entire playoff run. Is even if they didn't look great overall offensively, they were making more plays than the other team. And that is ultimately what wins games in the postseason. And yes, was it a messy game? For sure. But all that matters is that you come out with the win. And that is exactly what happened. One area that's significant that the Patriots struggled in is that the offensive line was very challenged by Broncos' standout defensive line. That was significant in this game. Will Campbell struggled on that offensive line with guys blowing completely past him. So that's something that I'm going to be looking out for moving forward. Although some of the sacks were on good coverage and Maye holding the ball, Denver's defense mostly controlled the line of scrimmage in the run and pass game as well in this game. Maye was under pressure on 37.9% of his dropbacks to go along with 5 sacks. Just didn't have a lot of opportunity to get rid of the ball. Maye does sometimes have a problem with holding on to the football for too long, but in this game, a lot of the time, it was because his offensive line was getting really challenged. Running back Ramondre Stevenson did manage 6 successful runs, and New England's rushing totals were inflated by Maye's 65 rushing yards, but it was tough sledding for the most part because Will Campbell allowed 5 total matchups and pressures versus Pro Bowl edge rusher Nick Bonito. So that was a significant aspect in this game. And Morgan Moses, right tackle, he also allowed a sack to Broncos edge Jonathan Cooper. So that's where most of the pressure came from in the game. So the offensive line is a notable thing to keep in mind. Luckily, the Broncos offensive line also wasn't fantastic in this game, but that's an area that the Patriots are going to have to keep in mind and work on and refine over the next couple weeks. Another positive that I wanted to point out about this team was the key return of a player who had been hurt. Mack Hollins, return of the Mack. If you have that song stuck in your head now, happy to sing along with you. But he made the biggest pass play of the game and made his return known. After missing the last 4 games due to an abdominal injury, the veteran wideout returned to the lineup and played 39 snaps in the game, second only to wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, who had 40 snaps. Hollins' return sparked the Patriots' biggest play from scrimmage in the game, with the Pats running a flea flicker for a 31-yard gain in the third quarter. It was huge. On the play, the Patriots ended up going with their 6 offensive line and run formation. Holland sold the block well to get the Broncos defense sucked in before releasing upfield. And then that ended up being Maye's best throw of the day too, putting enough air on the ball to get it over linebacker Dre Greenlaw while Hollins ran away from Broncos cornerback Riley Moss for the big play. That drive unfortunately ended without points, but it was definitely promising to see Hollins back in the mix. He's had a big season this year, and he has been a key asset to this Patriots offense. So him making his presence known and being back is hopefully something that will serve them very well in the Super Bowl. And another guy that I wanted to bring up is Stefon Diggs. Now, while he obviously didn't have a monster game offensively in this one, his presence is huge for a team with a lot of young players on it. And he's a guy who's been around and has the experience. And you look at a guy like that to be a leader among a team with a lot of young talent on it. And because they have him, hopefully he can help some of these young players get through the pressures of playing in the Super Bowl. Again, young offensive line, young running back room, and just a lot of young pieces on this team that the Patriots do feel confident in, and the talent level is definitely there, even on the defensive side, young players too. But it always helps to have those veterans, and having Stefon Diggs and his presence with this team will hopefully serve this team well moving forward. Mike Vrabel, shout out to him. He knows how to adapt very well in game situations and is able to be very aware from a coaching perspective. There was one point in the game where Maye was running the ball and he dropped down with 1 second left on the clock, and then Mike Vrabel immediately called a timeout. That's called awareness. That's called making sure you and your quarterback are aware of what's going on the field and are very good at managing in-game situations. And that's something I really like about Mike Vrabel and his coaching. And that's why I do feel like I can trust him to coach this team to a Super Bowl championship, hopefully, and just everything that he's accomplished with this team this year and the turnaround that this team has made. When we went into this season really not knowing what this Patriots team was going to be, who was going to step up and who wasn't going to step up, there's a lot to be excited about and a lot to be proud of. But one big thing going into the Super Bowl is that Maye is facing Sam Darnold, another quarterback who doesn't have that Super Bowl experience. So one of the biggest things I'm going to be looking at is the moment going to be too big for either one of those quarterbacks? We have seen Drake adapt to the pressure of a playoff environment for all of these last 3 weeks. And it's been great to see that out of him. But when you're in the Super Bowl, that's a huge step up. We're talking huge viewership and the biggest stage you could possibly be on in the NFL. So I'm curious to see how either one of these quarterbacks adapts to that. Is the moment going to be too big for them, or are they going to be able to play with composure? But the Seahawks look like a very complete team, and the Patriots are going to absolutely have to be a lot better offensively if they want to win this game. So I'm looking forward to seeing this game in a couple weeks. Be sure to continue to check out Boston Balling on any podcast platform for all of my Patriots talk, featuring some special, exciting guests along the way, even in the next couple weeks. So make sure you continue to tune in. Thank you so much. As always, let's go Pats, and I'll catch you next time.